During the design and development of Chrysler's LH cars, every effort was made to control wind and traffic noise entering the interior of the vehicle. However, at your dealership you may have already encountered customer complaints of various wind and/or traffic noises inside the vehicle. Make no doubt about it though, these vehicles are constantly being revised to eliminate these wind and traffic noise concerns, assuring customer satisfaction. However, it will be up to you to correct these conditions when your customers have a complaint. This video will provide you with the locations where wind and traffic noises may enter the vehicle and with the methods to correct each situation. We've designed this video as a reference tool so that at any time you can fast forward to the area where the customer has a complaint. We've broken down the areas of wind and traffic noise concern to 3 specific areas: the A pillar area, the B pillar area, and C pillar area. Throughout the section of the video that pertains to each specific wind or traffic noise area, you'll notice a LH vehicle icon. In the center of the icon, either an A, B, or C will appear, indicating where you are on the tape and the area of the vehicle where the fix is being demonstrated. This will make it easy to quick reference the repair procedure needed for that specific customer concern. Before we get into the actual repair procedures for each area, let's first briefly review the diagnostic procedures you should go through to pinpoint the area of concern. Keep in mind only wind and traffic noise diagnostic procedures will be covered here. The first step to diagnosing wind and traffic noise is to get a complete description of the type of noise and where it seems to be located from the customer. If the customer is unsure, you may want to go on a road test with the customer and have them point out what they're hearing. Once you know the type of noise and where it may be located, perform the following inspections and tests as appropriate: a visual inspection, a paper test, the foamy window cleaner test or chalk test, a light test, a tracing powder test, the heater blower test, compressed air and soapy water test or water test. You'll find all of these tests demonstrated and explained in the October 1993 edition of MasterTech. For our purposes here, we'll assume that you have already inspected the various weather strips, alignments, and so on. So we'll continue with the service procedures to repair any wind or traffic noises that may be present. We'll start at the A pillar and work our way back to the C pillar. In each instance, we'll first cover wind noise leaks, such as a roar or hiss at a constant volume, and then cover traffic noise leaks, which are more noticeable when another vehicle passes by. To seal an A-pillar roaring wind noise, remove the 2 rearmost screws from the wheelhouse splash shield and pull the shield down to access the upper load beam. If there is a stuffer bag in the load beam, remove it through the access hole and discard it. Then attach a 12 to 18-inch plastic extension tube to a can of household aerosol foam sealer insulation and fill the load beam cavity with the foam sealer. Next, inside the vehicle, partially remove the A-pillar trim molding. Then, using the aerosol foam sealer, fill the A-pillar with foam up to the center hole. You'll find the previous procedure described in Technical Service Bulletin 232894. Wind noise at the mirror flag in the front door is often caused by improper alignment of the mirror sealing system. The mounting base of the rear view mirror should be aligned with the groove on the glass run weather strip. Even if the alignment is good and the weather strips are okay, we should remove the mirror to find any additional sources of noise. Then check the positioning of the glass run weather strip at the bottom edge of the mirror base. If there's an opening, pull the weather strip down into the correct position over the opening. Then check the foam stuffer behind the flap of the outer belt molding. If it looks like this older design, replace it with this newer part number 4696827. Make sure that the flap is outboard of the glass run weather strip. Place a strip of foam tape behind the glass run channel and mirror bracket. Another source of wind noise at the mirror area could come from an opening between the inner belt reinforcement and the inner panel. Apply foam tape over the hole. After you've completed these procedures, reinstall the mirror and adjust the mounting so that the base lines up with the weather strip. Also, make sure you cover the access holes using part numbers 4696, 494, and 5. If there's a roaring noise at the roof rail molding, the fit of the molding needs to be adjusted. Tighten the molding screws in the area of the noise. For traffic noise located at the A pillar, check for a hole at the base of the outer A pillar. If a hole is present, fill it in with dum-dum. If a rustling air noise is apparent above the door opening, at the headliner between the A and B pillars, or between the B and C pillars, the roof rail body seam needs to be sealed. With the roof rail molding removed, seal any gaps in the roof rail body seam with Mopar silicone rubber adhesive sealant, part number 4318025. This procedure was also described in Technical Service Bulletin 232894. If wind noise is apparent around the top edge of the front door, this could be the result of a poor door fit. Check to make sure the top edge of the door is flush with the roof. If it is not, it can be easily corrected by slightly bending the top of the door inward. After lowering the window, put your knee to the inside of the door at the belt line and gently pull on the top of the door. Keep in mind, however, that doing this may require additional hinge and striker adjustments to ensure a good fit and good closing efforts. However, if the top edge of the door is flush with the roof, check to see if the door window is well inside of the weather strip in the raised position. If the window is pushing hard against the outer edge of the weather strip, refer to your service manual and adjust the trailing arm of the window regulator so that the window is properly positioned inside the weather strip when in the raised position. Traffic noise at the B pillar can be the result of a poorly aligned B pillar applique. To eliminate the noise, loosen the applique screws and adjust to fit the door. If a gap still exists between the applique and the weather strip, the door can be tapped with a rubber hammer until flush. An opening between the inner belt reinforcement and the inner panel could allow traffic noise into the car. Cover this with foam tape. Traffic noise can also come from an opening in the rear of the front door, similar to the opening at the front of the door at the inner panel. Again, cover this opening with foam tape. Additionally, similar openings may exist on the rear doors. If they are present, cover them with foam tape. Another source for traffic noise is the locating hole required for manufacturing. On the front door, there's one outer hole that will need to be covered with foam tape. On the rear doors, there's an outer locating hole and an inner locating hole, both of which need to be covered with foam tape. If a hissing is present at the rear of the rear door, check to see if the rear door flag is properly aligned. Similar to the mirror on the front door, the rear door flag will need to be adjusted. If the hissing remains or if the rear door flag was aligned properly, apply foam tape between the outer door and weather strip at the glass run. On Chrysler, New Yorker, and LHS models, realign the foam tape behind the fixed vent window. Also, cover the hole between the inner belt reinforcement and inner panel with a foam strip. Similar to the front doors, if wind noise is present at the top edge of the door, carefully bend the upper door inward using very little pressure. As always, lower the glass before performing this procedure, and be particularly careful when performing this procedure on the larger doors of the New Yorker or LHS. Again, striker or hinge adjustment may be required after this procedure. If wind noise is present at the top of the rear door windows on New Yorker or LHS models, check to make sure the window glass is properly seating inside the weather strip. If the window is to the outside of the weather strip, refer to your service manual and adjust the trailing arm of the window regulator to properly position the window. When a hissing or roar noise is present in the lower back seat area, refer to TSB number 231193 Revision A for the proper procedure and locations to adjust the rear deck lid opening weather strip using a rubber mallet. To seal any wind noise that may be apparent at the top of the rear seat on New Yorker and LHS models, apply a bead of black silicone RTV below the surface line of the backlight valance panel. When traffic noise is present at the rear door flag on the rear door, Check for proper glass run weather strip positioning and adjust as appropriate. If there's an opening, pull the weather strip down into the correct position over the opening. That completes our review of the A, B, and C pillar areas where wind and traffic noise might be present. And I emphasize might be present because, as I stated earlier, the LH car lines are being revised daily. This video has been designed as a tool to help locate the areas and properly seal or repair the problem. We are doing our part by correcting the problems as we identify them. Now you can do your part with proper repair of those LH cars already out there. Use this tool and refer to it often. It will help you turn a dissatisfied customer into a satisfied customer.
Wind noise and water leaks. These can be some of the most annoying and difficult to diagnose problems you'll encounter. Why? Because unfortunately, the place where you hear the noise or see the leak may not be where the real trouble is. Hi, and welcome to Master Tech. This month, we're going to discuss those hard-to-find wind noise and water leak problems. We'll familiarize you with some of the basic causes and symptoms of wind noise and water leaks. We'll show you a variety of simple, effective diagnostic procedures, and we'll discuss some of the common materials used in repairs. So, how do wind noise and water leaks develop? Well, let's take a look. Basically, wind noise problems can be categorized into two groups: those caused by turbulence and those caused by air leaks. Turbulence can be caused by anything that disturbs smooth airflow around the body surfaces. The shape of the body, protruding components, and loose parts can all cause turbulence. A completely streamlined body would produce the smoothest airflow and reduce turbulence the most. But such a vehicle would not be very practical. So engineers have created body designs, body insulation, and seals to eliminate as much turbulence as possible. Although we as technicians can't do anything about design, we can do something about protruding components and loose parts. Be on the lookout for such things as the front edges of the doors set out from the body surface, and loose, torn, or distorted components, which may result in turbulence. Turbulence is sometimes characterized by a low pitch or deep sound caused by a component disturbing smooth airflow. A flutter or buzzing sound is also used to describe turbulence. It is most often an external concern and is usually caused by a loose trim piece or molding. The other common type of wind noise is air leaks. Air leaks are caused by a number of different things, including poor sealing, improper body component alignment, body seam porosity, or missing plugs in the engine compartment or door hinge pillar areas. In many cases, air leaks are actually caused by air escaping from the vehicle. This type of wind noise is called aspiration and normally occurs when the vehicle is being driven forward with the doors and windows closed and the heater or air conditioning on or the cowl vent open. The forward motion forces air into the vehicle, which causes pressure to build up in the interior. In addition, air flowing around the outside of the vehicle produces low pressure on the outside of the door glass, amplifying the effects of the interior pressure buildup. The difference between the high inside and low outside pressures may force the top of the door or door glass to lose contact with the weather strip, resulting in escaping air and wind noise. Air leaks caused by air escaping from the vehicle interior commonly make a hissing or roaring sound, much like a vacuum leak. In some cases, Air leaks are not caused by air escaping out of the vehicle, but by air seeping into the vehicle. The situation can occur when the pressure on the outside of the vehicle is greater than that on the inside. Air, and possibly even dust and water, may seep into the vehicle through a loose or distorted seal. A high-pitched whistle or sometimes a low rumble are the descriptions most often used when referring to external air seeping into the vehicle. Well, now we've covered the causes of air leaks and some of their symptoms. But where should you look for them? Air leaks are normally found in the upper side areas of the vehicle, down to about 1 foot below the belt line, because this is where inside and outside pressures differ the most. It's important to be aware of the causes and symptoms associated with the different types of wind noise, not only because it will help in your diagnosis, but also because it will help you answer this review question. A hissing noise occurs when the vehicle is being driven with the doors and windows closed and the heater on high. What is the most likely cause? A, air seeping into the vehicle. B, air escaping from the vehicle. Or C, a loose trim piece? The answer is B, air escaping from the vehicle. Remember, a hissing noise is usually caused by this type of air leak. Almost as common, and certainly just as annoying as wind noise, are water leaks. Like wind noise, water leaks may be caused by poor sealing, body component misalignment, body seam porosity, missing plugs, and in addition, blocked drain holes. When referring to poor sealing, we most often think of the seals around the front and rear windows, or weather strip around the doors, door windows, deck lids, tailgates, rear hatches, and sunroofs. But what about body seams or joints on the vehicle? A poor seal could also occur at one of these areas, so it's important to keep that in mind when trying to locate a water leak. In addition, water can enter the doors at the belt weather strip and fall to the bottom of the door. A water shield is installed between the door and the trim panel to keep water from leaking inside the vehicle. And holes in the bottom of the door are designed to let water drain out. Problems may arise if these become plugged. So now you know where to look for water leaks, but what should you look for? Of course, symptoms of a water leak seem pretty obvious. Just look for the water, right? Well, there are a few other symptoms of water leaks that are just as important as actually seeing the water. You should listen for sloshing, especially when stopping or turning corners. This may indicate water is trapped in the luggage compartment or another body component. You should also look for mud splash inside the vehicle. This is a good indicator of a water leak that may only be present under certain conditions, such as when traveling at highway speeds. Finally, remember that not all signs of water inside the vehicle will indicate a water leak. Problems with other components, such as an improperly positioned AC drain tube, may also leak water into the passenger compartment. Knowing where to look and what to look and listen for are important skills when it comes to water leak diagnosis. You'll also need this information to answer our next review question. The 3 symptoms of water leaks are A, sloshing, mud splash, and noticeable water. B, hissing noise, mud splash, and noticeable water. Or C, mud splash, plugged AC drain tube, and sloshing. The answer is A. The 3 symptoms of water leaks are sloshing, mud splash, and noticeable water. When it comes to wind noise and water leak repairs, diagnosis is without question the most difficult step. In this section, we're going to show you some simple and effective shop test procedures as well as road test procedures to help you isolate even the most difficult to find wind noise and water leaks. But first, let's take a look at the customer feedback form. The customer feedback form is something both you and your service writer should become very familiar with. If used properly, It can be a very important tool in wind noise and water leak diagnosis. The customer feedback form should be filled out by the service writer with the help of the customer. It asks for information on the type of problem, the location of the problem, and under what conditions it occurs. It even gives a drawing of several different vehicles so the customer can better point out the problem area. The service writer should also note any pertinent information not on the form that may help the technician in diagnosis. For example, under the heater AC blower operation section, a good service writer would not only mark the appropriate on-off or low, medium, high boxes, but would also note if the condition occurs in vent or defrost modes, or when the recirculation button is pressed. And one last thing relating to the customer feedback form. If you notice that a problem occurs only during extreme weather conditions or in a high-powered car wash, you should not attempt adjustment or repair without first verifying a problem actually exists. Why? Because a vehicle's seals and weather stripping are made to stand up to everyday weather conditions. They may not stay watertight under extreme winds or rain or during high-pressure washing. But over-adjustment to compensate for problems occurring in extreme conditions can cause premature seal wear and other problems in the future. Make sure your service writer explains this to the customer. So, once you've reviewed the information on the customer feedback form, your first step is to verify the customer's complaint. For wind noises, you'll need to take the vehicle for a road test and simulate the conditions under which the problem appears. For water leaks, your best bet is to water test the vehicle, which we'll explain in a few minutes, to be sure that a leak is occurring. Your service manual contains several good suggestions for simulating a variety of conditions in which a water leak may occur. And you'll need to refer to the service manual to answer one of the quiz questions in your reference book. Next, check for technical service bulletins. In 1993, there have been several TSBs relating to wind noise and water leaks. And a quick review of these may save considerable time in diagnosis. Remember, they can be accessed through the Technical Service Information Library of your MDS. Check this month's reference book for a list. If you don't find any TSBs related to the problem, your next step will be to perform a detailed visual inspection in the area indicated on the customer feedback form. If the description of the problem seems to indicate an air leak, you should pay special attention to weather stripping, seals, moldings, and body components. Are they loose, missing, torn, or distorted? Also, look for low spots or solder lumps on the door opening surfaces, which may prevent proper weather strip contact. And if you notice any especially dirty seals, you should wipe them off and inspect the area carefully for gaps or tears, since dirt and grime can cause excessive wear to the seals and weather strips. If the customer's description indicates turbulence, look carefully at alignment and fit, especially around the doors. Ideally, the front edge of the door should be flush or tipped slightly inward of its mating component. The rear edge of the door should be flush or slightly outward of the rear mating surface when tightly latched. You may need to adjust the door hinges or door latch striker if the doors are not aligned properly. See your service manual for details. Turbulence may also be caused by loose trim pieces or moldings. These should be reattached using an appropriate adhesive. When a water leak is the problem, check for missing floor or body plugs and be sure all drain holes are clear. Also inspect for proper sealing at windows, doors, and body seams. And look for body component misalignment. A mirror or bright light may be useful when trying to inspect difficult-to-see areas. Many of the problems you find during a visual inspection can be corrected by simply repositioning, gluing, or adjusting an existing component. And remember, don't be misled by the location of the symptoms. You should repair anything that needs correcting, not just around the problem area. The cause may actually be some distance from the symptom. If a thorough visual inspection fails to reveal any problem spots, or if you want to double check an area before making the repair, you'll want to begin the shop test procedures. There are several methods and materials to choose from. So, which one should you start with? Well, we can't tell you that. But we can tell you that you should start with a test that best corresponds to your condition, one that is not messy and is simple to perform. One procedure, the paper test, is very simple to perform and is especially effective in checking door glass and quarter glass that has direct contact with roof rail weather strip. It can also be used to check deck lid weather strip and convertible top seals. One way to perform this test is by using a dollar bill or a similar sized piece of paper. Place the piece of paper on the seal to be checked and close the mating component to place tension on the paper. If you are able to pull the paper out easily, the seal may not be tight enough. An alternate method is to cut strips approximately 2 to 3 inches apart in a piece of newspaper. Place the paper on the questionable seal with the slits extending from inside to outside. Next, close the mating component and detach the uncut portion of the newspaper. Pull the paper out one strip at a time. If one piece pulls out with less resistance than the others, you've found a possible leak. When a deck lid or door weather strip seems to be at fault, you may want to use the foamy window cleaner test or the chalk test. These are both excellent methods for locating large seal leaks. And with the exception of the materials used, the procedures are identical. To begin, open the deck lid or door where the leak is suspected and apply an even amount of foamy window cleaner around the entire perimeter of the suspect weather strip. Once the foamy window cleaner has settled, hold the door latch in the released position. Then slowly push the door closed and reopen it. Carefully examine the print of the window cleaner in the door opening. A gap or light trace in the print indicates poor weather strip contact at that point. If you prefer to use chalk instead of foamy window cleaner and you have difficulty getting a good chalk transfer, try coating the surfaces that are contacted by the weather strip with a thin film of paste wax. The wax will pick up the chalk and leave a distinct print. But no matter which material you choose, be sure not to slam the door. This will flatten the weather strip and cause a misleading print. Another quick, easy test you might want to try is the light test. This test is used to inspect deck lid seals and welded panel seams and requires the use of an assistant. First, have your assistant climb in the trunk and close the deck lid. Then, using a drop light or a flashlight, illuminate the suspected leak areas, including the area around the tail lights. If the light is visible through a normally sealed location, you have located a possible leak. And don't forget to let your assistant out of the trunk. After trying one or all of the methods we've described, if you still can't find the problem, don't get discouraged. There are still a few more methods you can try that may reveal leaks too small to be detected by the others. One method, the tracing powder test, uses tracing powder, leak detection powder, or a bulb syringe filled with baby or talc powder to help detect small leaks in vent and convertible window seals and door seals. Begin this test with all of the doors and windows closed. Using your spray can or bulb syringe, blow the powder on the outside of the questionable seal in the reported noise area. Then open the door and check for traces of the powder on the inner side of the seal. Powder that gets past the outer seal will pinpoint the location of the problem. Again, if the powder doesn't seem to be sticking, a light coating of paste wax on the inner seal may help. Next is a test that is very helpful in locating small leaks, the heater blower test. The main idea here is to use the heater to pressurize the interior of the vehicle This allows you to use an electronic leak detector or an audio tech probe, both available through professional service equipment. You can also use a stethoscope to locate holes or gaps around the door and window seals, which may be causing wind noise or water leaks. To begin, tape the body vents or air exhausters closed. Refer to the body section of the appropriate service manual for information on their location. Then start the engine and set the heater control to high blower in the heat position. If the engine cannot be started, hook up a battery charger to ensure the blower will not drain the battery, and place the ignition in the accessory position. Now, if you're using a two-piece electronic leak detector, place the transmitter in the vehicle. Then close all the doors and windows and allow sufficient time for the interior pressure to build up. Once the vehicle is pressurized, inspect around all edges of the doors and windows using either the detecting unit of the electronic leak detector, an audio tech probe, or the stethoscope to listen for a leak. But what if none of these tools is available? You may want to try a procedure similar to the heater blower test, called the compressed air and soapy water test. In this test, you can use a simple mixture of liquid soap and water applied directly to the exterior surface of the suspected leak area. Then from the inside of the vehicle, have an assistant apply compressed air, maximum 30 psi, in the area of the leak, while you observe from the outside. If large soap bubbles appear at any point, you have located a leak. Our final shop test procedure is the water test. As mentioned earlier, you may need to perform this test to verify the customer's complaint. With a garden hose, direct a 5-inch stream of water over the suspected leak area. Begin at the lowest point of the area and slowly work your way up, while an assistant observes from the inside of the vehicle. If a leak occurs under certain conditions, such as when parked on an incline or while turning, you'll need to hoist the appropriate side of the vehicle to simulate the condition as closely as possible. And if a leak occurs under highway conditions, try using a fan spray of water directed at the vehicle in a direction comparable to actual conditions. But be sure not to use excessive water pressure. Even a good seal can leak if the pressure is too high. Before we conclude the diagnostic portion of the program, there is still one more very important diagnostic test to discuss: the road test. Conducted on a quiet, relatively straight street where you can duplicate the problem-causing conditions, the road test could be your most effective diagnostic tool for wind noise detection. And it may also be helpful in locating water leaks. But before you jump in the car, here are some things to keep in mind. A road test should be performed after a proper visual inspection and any relevant shop test procedures. In many cases, you can find and repair the problem right in the shop, and a road test will simply be needed as confirmation of the repair. When performing a road test, you should always bring along an assistant. 2 heads are better and safer than 1 when it comes to road test procedures. Also, be sure to bring along any tools you may need to find and mark the problem areas. Usually, 2-inch masking tape, a marking pencil, screwdrivers, a socket set, and some foam material are good tools to start with. And before you begin, lower the radio antenna if possible, and remove any other items that may be causing a noise. Now you're ready to start the road test. If you're still trying to track down the problem area, begin by driving the vehicle at the speed indicated on the customer feedback form, with both the doors and windows closed, the heater blower off, and fresh air inlet doors closed. Listen for the noise and try to determine if it is coming from the inside or outside of the vehicle. You may need to drive the vehicle in the opposite direction on the test road, since a change in wind direction will sometimes vary or stop the noise. If you think the noise may be external, roll down the window and continue to listen. Did the noise go away? If not, it's probably external. Look for any misaligned body components, or try using masking tape to secure loose moldings, drip rails, or any other loose items that may be causing turbulence. You can also use masking tape to bridge gaps or fill voids that may be causing turbulence. If the noise seems to be coming from inside the vehicle, it is probably an air leak. Opening the fresh air inlet doors to pressurize the interior may cause the noise to become louder and make diagnosis easier. Once you've determined the approximate leak location, pull the vehicle over and inspect the problem area. If you can see the problem, make the repair using the tools you took on the test drive. Or if a simple repair cannot be performed, return to the shop to fix the problem. If you're not certain of the particular problem, apply pieces of tape approximately 5 inches long to the area. Begin at the bottom and overlap the pieces as you go up. With the masking tape applied, resume your test drive. If the reported noise can still be heard, the leak is elsewhere on the vehicle. If the sound has changed, you may have narrowed the problem, or there may be an additional leak elsewhere on the vehicle. Once you're confident you have located the problem area, you can further pinpoint the leak location by removing sections of the tape. Remove the tape one section at a time and test drive the vehicle as each section is removed. When you hear the noise again, you are at or near the leak. Once your diagnosis is complete and repairs have been made, you'll need to perform a road test to verify that all of the problems have been corrected. Don't forget, sealing a leak in one area may reveal others that couldn't be heard before. Be sure you've found all of the leaks before returning the vehicle to the customer. In our next section, we're going to discuss some of the materials you can use to repair wind noise and water leak problems. But before we move on, let's try a couple review questions. To locate a wind noise problem at the driver's side rear door, which of the following would you perform first? A, water test, B, light test, or C, foamy window cleaner test? The answer is C, the foamy window cleaner test. Remember, you should start with a test that best fits the condition and is simple to perform and is not messy. Now see if you can answer this question. During a road test, a technician hears a wind noise, but he can't determine if it's internal or external. To determine this, he should A, roll down the window, B, apply tape to the suspected area, or C, keep the windows up but open the fresh air inlet doors. The answer is A. On a test drive, the best way to determine if the noise is internal or external is to roll down the window. If you can still hear the noise, it's probably external. Now your diagnosis is complete, and it's time to make the repair. But which material should you use? There are so many products to choose from, it may be difficult to decide which product is best for a particular repair. So, before we conclude for this month, we're going to suggest a few of the products that may come in handy for repairing some of the more frequent wind noise and water leak problems. For a description of available products, check the Mopar Chemicals catalog. If a Mopar product is not available, a suitable material may be available from another manufacturer. When sealing joint and seam gaps, you may want to use a product like Mopar Vinyl Acrylic Sealant. This is excellent for filling both large and small joint and seam leaks and provides a smooth, tack-free surface. Another multi-purpose Mopar product is silicone glass and windshield sealer. This product is useful for a variety of repairs, from fixing drip rail leaks to sealing stationary glass leaks. When loose trim pieces or moldings are causing turbulence, secure them with Mopar No-Run Super Glue. Or, if you prefer a tape to flowable adhesive, use a two-sided body molding tape. Both products provide excellent adhesion to painted surfaces. And one final product we should mention is Mopar Vinyl Foam Tape. When applied between a weather strip and its retainer, it becomes an excellent shim. Many air and water leaks can be corrected by shimming the weather strip with this or a similar product. Well, thanks for joining us this month on Master Tech. And remember, the next time you're faced with an annoying wind noise or water leak problem, Not to worry. Just look for the symptoms, perform a thorough visual inspection, and try the appropriate diagnostic procedures. Following these steps will help you pinpoint the problem and lead to another satisfied customer. We'll see you next month.